All right, Shane, I'm back. We're back here again and discussing, of course, the NFC South. So let's jump right into it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And here's the schedule: 3 preseason games as usual. Before that, the interns, which I'm very proud of. They've been working very hard. So shout out to the interns. Yes, absolutely. And here we have the DraftKings preseason win total is at 9.5. The over is at -105. The under is at -115. And so the key number is that when we see that, guys, is that the Buccaneers have to win 10 games. You feel that they can win 10 games. You want to bet the over, again, at -105. You don't think they're going to get 10 games. They get right at 9. Even if it's a draw, if they get like a draw or a tie in the NFL, they'll land at 9.5 exactly, and you just get your money back. But if you feel that it's 9 games or below, you want to bet the under, and that's the reason of the 2 option there. 3 preseason games. We have Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, and we jump right into their season. They have the bye week at week 9 there, Shano, but they have 2 away games. They start off right off the bat. At Atlanta Falcons, at the Texans on a Monday night. So that's going to be at 7 o'clock. They have that doubleheader that we talked about before from previous teams. Home against the Jets. Home against the Philadelphia Eagles, which are the champs. At the Seattle Seahawks at 4 o'clock on CBS. Home against the San Francisco 49ers. Again, that's going to be on CBS. That's pretty interesting there, where you have 2 NFC teams are going to be on CBS. And then at the Detroit Lions, again, on Monday Night Football, 7 o'clock. So, again, that's that doubleheader that the NFL likes to push out. And then, of course, at the New Orleans Saints, week 8, right before the bye. So we have a total, again, here, Shano, of 9 games. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the bye week's right about where you want it, right? Smack dab in the middle of the season. Yep. I think that's beneficial to them. But they do got some challenging road games in this first half of the schedule. At Seattle is always tough to play in, right? So they're the 12th man there. And then at the Lions, that's the Lions were 15-2 last year, right? So I mean they're a good team and even harder to beat in Detroit. So those 2 stick out to me right away. Falcons are starting right off the bat. That's a division game. So we know how those go, right? But it is Michael Penix is only going to be his what is that going to be his his 4th start, 5th start, something like that, as a starter.
Yeah.
So that might be beneficial catching in Atlanta early there. So I think they could win that one. I think they'll beat the Jets. Looking through here, it's a pretty tough schedule though with the champs there. Like I said, playing Seattle's tough.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe 3 and 5, maybe 4 and 4 at best.
Yeah, you mentioned Penix. So he looked pretty good towards the end of the season there. He took Washington. That was that game where Washington had to win in order to make the wild card, which they did. Mm-hmm. But Penix played pretty good there. So I mean, with the offseason, you're hoping, and from the draft, you're hoping that the Falcons have improved. But in this case, you got 9 teams where, a few of them have made the playoffs last year. You take, of course, the champs, Detroit, Houston Texans. And those are 2 games right there that are Monday Night Football, meaning Houston and Detroit. So we'll see how that goes. After the bye week, we have like you said, it's pretty good in the nice area of when you want the bye if you're an NFL team. So they have home against the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills at 1 o'clock on CBS. Then they have another primetime game, which is, of course, the LA Rams. That'll be 8:20 on Sunday Night Football. And then 3 home games there, Shano. They've got, of course, home against the Cardinals, home against the Saints, home against the Falcons. And that Falcons game will be December 11th, which will be a Thursday night game. 2 away games after that, which is Carolina and the Miami Dolphins. And then they come back home against the Carolina Panthers. And that, of course, that time is to be determined. So overall, do they get past 10 wins?
I think the second half of their schedule is a little bit more favorable than the first when I'm first looking at it here. But it's still pretty challenging. You got at Buffalo, that's tough, right? I think they'll probably lose that game.
Yeah.
What else is on there? That's kind of tough. Patriots, I think, are going to be a tough squad this year. We talked about that.
Sure. Even
I
the
think
Rams.
It's a winnable game for them.
Yeah.
And it's at home, which is beneficial. But what were we going to say?
Even the Rams.
Yeah.
Rams was on Sunday night.
And that's in LA, so you got to fly across country for.
Yeah.
After already being on the road in Buffalo, so
yeah,
that's a lot of travel back-to-back weeks there. But then that 3 home game stretch is a pretty good stretch run for them, where they can rack up some wins maybe and get there. I think I got them going. I think I got them at 9 wins.
Yeah, I'm looking at that too. It looks like an even 9-8 there. I mean, you never know what to expect. Even though it's a Thursday night game, it's home against the Atlanta Falcons, but you just don't understand or know what Tampa Bay, who will show up, etc. So, and they may lose or they may split with the Carolina Panthers. You just never know, and they play them late.
Yeah.
So.
And like what you said, who shows up? There was times last year where Baker Mayfield looked like he was a legit starting quarterback, and then there was other games where you're like, "Whoa,
yeah,
is this the same guy?"
Yeah.
So
your typical Jekyll and Hyde there.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So the quarterback play is huge to your success, as we know.
Sure.
So
sure. Let's move on, of course, to the Atlanta Falcons. And here we go. The team total there, the preseason win total is at 7.5, Shano. So over is at -140. The under at plus 115. So we'll see how that goes. 3 preseason games. They have Detroit, Tennessee, and Dallas. And then their bye week, of course, is in week 5. So that might cost them a little bit. But let's go down the first 4 games. They have home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at Minnesota on a Sunday night. That's their week 2 game, at Carolina, and then home against Washington at 1 o'clock right before the bye. I see the Atlanta Falcons probably going 0-4 right off the bat.
You don't think they can beat the Panthers?
No. It's going to be close. But I see with Young, they both were improving, yes, but Young seems to have a little bit more experience. True, but after he got benched last year, middle of the season, what have you, he started to show up. So I think Young will take care of it, and it'll be home for the Carolina Panthers. So that's why Atlanta has to travel there. So 2 back-to-back away games with Minnesota and Carolina. I don't see them winning a game going into the bye.
Yeah, that's tough. Did you see what Bijan Robinson said on I forget what interview he was on? He's the running back for the Falcons, for people who don't know.
Right.
But someone interviewed him about the Commanders game where the Commanders had to win to get into the playoffs as the wild card, as you already talked about.
Sure.
But he said he's like, I'm looking forward to next year. He said when we play them, we're going to beat them by 20 this year. That's what he said in his interview. So I don't know if that's going to be bulletin board material for Washington, or if they're motivated extra to beat us. I don't know. So maybe it might be a good game there.
You know what that means? That's going to be a 3-unit play for Washington for me. That's a cardinal rule. We have rules in betting. If this happens or if that happens, throughout the years, I've got the rule book. It's kind of like Wedding Crashers, that movie. Rule number 15.
It's like if someone's playing on their birthday, you have to bet them to score a touchdown. Yep.
Correct. That's rule number 20. So yeah. After the bye week, they've got a long stretch here. They have home against the Buffalo Bills on. Let's see here. Home against Buffalo Bills, at the San Francisco 49ers. Home against the Miami Dolphins, and then 2 away games at New England, at the Colts, which they'll have to travel. And this time they're traveling to Berlin. So the Germany game there on November 9th. Home against the Panthers. Again, that's where they can split that. And then 2 away games. So before we even get past that, remember, they're going to Germany, okay, on November the 9th. and they have to come straight back. There's no bye. They go straight into a game at home, which at least that's pretty decent. As they take on the Carolina Panthers. Finishing up the last 7 games, we have, of course, the 2 away games, the Saints and the Jets. Then 2 home games, the Seattle Seahawks, and they will host, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a Thursday night. 2 away games, the Cardinals, and a Monday night showdown at the LA Rams, and then they're home against the Saints. I'll go first. No way they make 8 wins, especially if I had them going 0-4. If you want me to be nice, I'll say they'll go 1-3. But
this schedule is not favorable to them at all. I don't think.
No,
it's a pretty tough one. It's a lot of travel, and I think some of the teams that they could beat, they're coming off of like a long travel beforehand, the week beforehand, right?
Right.
So like I told you about the Panthers, and that's what you were saying. You're going to Minnesota and then going to Carolina. Right. Back to back, and then the same thing with the Panthers. Even worse though, because you're going to Berlin and then coming home. At least you're going home, but then you're playing the Panthers again. And it's weird that once again the bye week doesn't happen after going to Europe and back. It kind of makes me think that like maybe Roger Goodell is trying to start training these guys to get so he can get a franchise out there that he's always been talking about.
I don't think it's going to be a franchise, but I can see where there's a game, all 16, 17 games, right? Where there at least there's going to be an international game throughout the whole 16 weeks of the NFL, or 18 weeks, I should say, because of the bye. So,
he's been pushing for a while to get a London franchise,
that's true. That is true.
So that's like the rumor because like Jacksonville always plays in London. They're like they're going to be like the one to move over there, but
they had the league over there called NFL Europe. I thought it was fine. I don't have an issue with that.
I used to watch some of those games. Some of those games were pretty good.
I think the marketing and stuff like that wasn't great, but maybe they should start up again. Maybe compete against the UFL.
The Rain Fire, I remember them. Like the Galaxy was a team. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And then that was a long time ago.
Yeah, definitely a long time ago. They should bring it back, especially with the popularity. So, do they get to 8 wins?
I don't think they get to 8 wins. No, I don't see that happening. Not with the schedule.
Now I see 6-11, so I would definitely take the under there. I don't see them going over 8 wins. They're getting 8 wins or above. No, I don't see it. I really don't. I think they lose to New England, Miami, Seattle. I think they get either swept or pretty much with Tampa. So I don't see it. I don't see it at all. And with the Rams and Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would take the under.
Yeah. Let's move on to the New Orleans Saints. Here we are with the Saints here. We have, of course, the win total here is at 6.5, so a little low. That means that, folks, that they have to win 7 games for, if you take the over, which is at minus 155, the over is at plus 155. I apologize. The under is at minus 180. So they're not looking that great when it comes to the under. Now, you can always look at your book and see, hey, maybe they can, if you want to go lower than that, take 5.5.
What's the line again? 6.5?
It's 6.5, and the over is at 155. Plus 155.
Well, the Saints are dealing with a lot right now too because Derek Carr retired
right
just recently, right? Yep. So then now so they have they drafted the quarterback Tyler what's his last name? Tyler Shaw. Is that how you say it?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So is he going to start as a rookie quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean that's challenging, right?
Yeah.
And there are other choices. I think was Spencer Rattler, and when he played last year, he did not look great at all.
I think you just go with Hill.
Yeah.
That's
they could do that. Put Taysom Hill in there.
Yeah. I say you go with that. All right, let's get started with this. Of course, 3 preseason games. Chargers, Jags, Denver. 2 home games right off the bat. The Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, which they will host the 2 home games at Seattle. Then they have at Buffalo. 2 home games after that, which is New York and the New England Patriots at the Chicago Bears. Their bye week is in week 11, so finishing out the last 3 games right before the bye. Home against Tampa Bay, at the LA Rams, and then at the Carolina Panthers. Ooh. I'm going to go. Wow. Depending on the
I can see why I can see why the under is favored there. I think I'm going under.
Yeah. I'm going to go. Wow. Out of the 10 games, I'm going to go I'm going to go 3-7.
Yeah. I mean, the Saints still have some pretty decent pieces. It just it's tough to rack up that wins when your quarterback's such an unknown.
Yeah.
But I could see 3-7.
Yeah. I think they win week 1, and we'll see what happens. But I see 3-7. That's being nice, of course. Finishing up the schedule here, home against the Atlanta Falcons, at Miami, at Tampa Bay. That finished up that their second meeting there. Home against Carolina Panthers, home against the Jets, and then their last 2 away games that'll be at Tennessee, and then at the Falcons to be determined. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. I see him at 6-11. Maybe they get 7 wins, but it's going to be awfully close.
As a 6-11 would still be an improvement over last year. I think they were 5-12 last year.
Right.
And then based on strength of schedule, they're ranked 31st in strength of schedule. Jeez, yeah, I would take the under personally.
Yeah.
I don't think I would bet it down anymore, but no. I would take the under.
You wouldn't bet total being 5.5. Get a little, the under might be even.
I think they get the 6. I think I'm looking at 6-11.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wouldn't go any lower.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put a unit on it, I'd take the under as well. But at -180, I don't know.
Yeah,
might have to do an aging handicap on that for exactly at 6, because if it lands at 6, you get your money back. But we'd like to see what the spread is for that one. All right, we're finishing up, of course, with the Carolina Panthers. Here's the schedule for them. Their preseason win total would be set at 6.5 as well. This is interesting. Over is -120, 125. The under is at -105. So let's see here. The preseason game, and their bye week is late, though. The bye week is on week 14. Preseason here, we have Cleveland, the Texans, and Pittsburgh. And then they start off, of course, 2 away games. They have Jacksonville and Carolina. To me, that's 2-0 right there if you're Carolina Panthers. Home against the Atlanta Falcons. Again, that could be 3-0. At New England. Home against Miami. Home against Dallas. At the Jets. Then you have, again, the other games. Home against Buffalo, which will be very interesting, I think. At Green Bay. Home against the Saints. At the Atlanta Falcons. So that ends their head-to-head there. Then at San Francisco. Home against the Rams. Then they enter the bye week. And that San Francisco game is going to be on Monday Night Football on November 24th. So they don't even get their bye week until week 14, which is December 7th. That's a very, very long stretch, Shano. To me, I'm going to go and say...
I think I got them in that first 13 games there. I think I got them winning 5.
5,
looking at the top of the head.
4 or 5. I think they can pull out 5.
Yeah,
I don't think they beat the Buffalo Bills or Green Bay, but they take care of business with Jags, Cardinals, and the Jets. They might lose to the Cardinals. Who knows? But I think, or either of those split. Either they'll win the Cardinals and lose to Atlanta, or vice versa. I think they take care of the Saints.
The problem with the Panthers have is what Washington had for so long, is that their owner's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and Dave Canellis looks like he's a good coach. It looks like he's starting to turn them around.
Yeah,
and we saw that they had some momentum at the end of last year. Bryce Young started to look a little better, starting to feel into his offense a little bit more. But I mean, their owner's also throwing drinks at the crowd and stuff
right.
like that. So.
Right, except buying them, he's just throwing it at them, literally.
But yeah, those up into the bye week, I see 5 wins there.
Yeah, I can see 5 wins, 4 or 5 wins. Again, it depends. It depends on which Carolina Panthers show up. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They do still have that young defense, so you never know. But they have lost some key players. But again, we'll see what happens. All right, so finishing out the schedule there, 2 home games back to back. December 14th, they host the New Orleans Saints on a nationally televised game, home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then 2 to be determined games, both away at Seattle and at Tampa Bay. It's going to be close. I think they get to exactly. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think they get to 7.
Yeah, the over/under was 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the over's at minus 125 there, and the under is at plus 105. I think they get to 7.
Yeah, like I said, I had them at 5 wins before the bye. I think they beat the Saints coming off the bye week, get the extra week of preparation, and then I think they'll beat the Bucs one of those 2 games. Probably week 18.
Yep.
Probably week 18 because based on the records we've given out so far throughout this division, the Bucs have the best. So if they have the division wrapped up, they could be resting people, and then boom, there's your 7.
Right. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see.
It is interesting that they have the Bucs sandwich at the end there. That's the NFL is doing that a lot with the division games.
Yeah, I know.
So when they have them sandwiched together like that, it's usually who they think is going to be competing for like the conference, or the division there. Because like in the NFC East, that's like the Eagles and Washington are doing that the last 3 weeks. They're sandwiched between them. Another division we looked at earlier, I can't remember off the top of my head, was just the same thing. And it was like the 2 top teams who we thought was going to win. So it's interesting that maybe the NFL is thinking a little bit higher on the Panthers and maybe like on their path to trajectory, maybe thinking their rebuild is going to be better than some people think.
We're not suggesting that it's scripted. Okay, this isn't a WWE, scripted match, but or the NBA, draft. That still bothers me, but it is what it is. But yeah, we shall see what takes place here in the National Football League. All right, so as we come back together there, our last one that we have to do, of course, is the AFC South. We will hop back on here, guys, later on. But before we do that, Chano, we have a couple announcements. One, the Queen of Baskets hit again. She's been at a 83% winning rate right now. She had, of course, Gray going over 15.5, and she also suggested Caitlin Clark tonight over 9.5 assists. So, and which was a very good game, even though the Indiana Fever didn't pull it out. They lost by 1, but I mean, I'm telling you, these girls can ball, and there's there is clearly a lot of audience. There's a lot of people involved in the WNBA.
WNBA has been growing for a little while now. I remember, I think I told you this. I saw a WNBA championship game. It was when the Mystics were in it, and they had Deladon, and Deladon was a big star for them. But they were at the Patriot Center at George Mason University in Fairfax, and tickets were like $5 to get in the door, and it's like free sit anywhere you want. And then like now they're starting to build up a fan base. And like they got some eyeballs. Caitlin Clark has helped a bunch with that and push that forward, that rivalry between her and Angel Reese.
Yep.
But WNBA's been growing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the play has gotten a lot better. I'll be honest with you. So to me, I remember that game that you went to. I had a friend of mine. She attended and to me it was great.
I had a blast there. I
might have to go revisit it again. I'll be honest.
My wife and I went, and we had a great time. But yeah, it's getting better. Honestly, at times, especially in the regular season, I kind of like the WNBA more than the NBA at times. It's less flopping. It's less.
I mean, you're not going to get the flashy dunks, and I don't mean any disrespect to the ladies at the WNBA. I know they work hard, but we're hoping to see that. I mean, hey, once that, I'm just saying, but I see a lot of step back threes, a lot of fadeaways, pick and rolls. I mean, they're hustling for balls. I mean, it's gotten great. I just wish that the revenue sharing, or for example, I'll take Clark. I got nothing against anybody else, Reese or anybody else like that, but hey, they're showing the jerseys. You got to give her a piece of the pie.
Yeah. You do, especially because like their salaries still aren't great in the WNBA.
Right.
I mean, for years the NBA was basically subsidizing the WNBA, and they were losing money like hand over fist for like the first 20 years or something like that of the WNBA. And they're slowly starting to build that momentum, and they're actually starting to turn a profit now, is what I hear. And then that's beneficial for everybody in the whole league.
Yeah.
And that it's going to get everybody a little bit more, because like I think the top salary in WNBA is like it's a lot lower than you think it is.
And they're expanding. They're going to be expanding. They're going to have an expansion team here and there starting next year. But yeah, that's great. What about hockey? I know you had a couple picks there at first. How was the Panthers in the?
Excuse me. Yeah. So game one is tonight. It is Panthers at Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
Panthers have looked dominant, I think, so far. I posted on X that they're my lean for the money line, but I was like, Carolina's coming off of like a pretty long rest there.
Right.
I could see them being more rejuvenated, having some of those bumps and bruises healed a little bit more. Sure. But Panthers are up right now, 3-1. Second period just ended. My shots on goal prop bets are looking good. One already hit. I had Jarvis on Carolina over 2.5. He was like minus 105, I believe.
Right.
And then that one already hit. And then I had Svechnikov for the Hurricanes over 2.5. And I think he's at 2 right now, I think the last I saw. So there's still one more period to go. So that's looking good. I had under in first period, though, and that did not hit.
Right.
Florida came out swinging. I was not expecting that after just playing 2 nights ago.
And we also suggested, bettors that the NBA, we took the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now they're up by 4, 48-44.
Go Timberwolves.
Exactly. And they're up. We took the plus 7.5, I believe. So that's looking pretty good, knock on wood. But again, a lot of things that are happening. We're waiting on the draw for the French Open. As you know, that our guy, Ayo Johnny, PJ is going to join us, and he's going to talk about some French Open of his bets. So we're waiting on the draw, which will be coming out this Thursday. And the CFL, the Canadian Football League, we've got JD Money is joining us, and he's going to be working with us as well. So a lot's happening. We've got the WNBA just taking off. That we're starting to come to the end of not only the soccer season in England. They've got one more big weekend this Sunday. MLS is going to happen, of course, this Saturday. And I know the interns have been working very hard on the new algorithm. So we're going to get that back up and running for you very shortly.
Yeah, I need some CFL in my life, because I always get depressed when hockey and basketball season ends.
Yeah. JD Money is the guy. I'm telling you. He's the guy. And then, of course, we'll take some time off to, enjoy our summer and get ready for the fall, because that's when everything starts, starts rolling with football. So we'll be in the books, so to speak, to study. But we have some soccer tournaments. We've got, of course, the Gold Cup. We've got the FIFA Club World Cup. So I'll be covering that, as well as the MLS. As the England, like I said, England and all the European soccer leagues are coming to an end. So a lot's happening. And Shayna, we're at almost we're at 250, about 250 subscribers?
Something like that. I think we crept over 250 last I looked.
Nice.
Just at 250 right now.
Nice. Exactly.
So we're growing.
So we appreciate the support. We appreciate the feedback, and please don't hesitate to comment. I know, Shayna, you've commented on a couple of things, as well as I.
Yeah, I mean, I try to respond to comments as soon as I see them. So, please feel free to comment. Anything you would like to see, like us do a video on, or anything you want us to talk about. One of these days we're gonna do once we build up a little bit more of a following, we're gonna do like a live stream, and we can answer just straight questions from the chat. That would probably be interesting one day. But yeah. Please comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Just help us grow the channel. Like, we're at 250 already, and we've only been doing videos for about two or 3 weeks now. Yeah. So that's pretty quick growth, and hopefully that keeps growing up.
And we're scheduled to have more shorts for you guys, so it's building. So yeah, make a comment, please, and we'll definitely get back to you. It just kind of sparks the conversation. But I know there's a special short that's coming out shortly, which will only air on YouTube on our channel. So don't forget to like and to hit that subscribe button. We truly appreciate it. But for now, we're going to sign off, and we'll catch you next time. So for Joe the Fan here, Shane O'Mac, we'll see you next time.